going on? It's the RapNerd, and I'm back to make another list based off of a comment from a subscriber that I got on my top 10 vampires list. And if you've seen the title, you know what they asked, so we're here to talk about my top 10 werewolf horror movies. First, a disclaimer: if the movie that you love or you like a lot is not on this list, please do not take this as disrespect. Please don't come for me in the comments. Please be nice. I'm not disrespecting any movies that's not on this list. These are just my personal favorites that I watch and revisit, okay? So, getting that out the way, let's start off with number 10. At the bottom of the list of this list of my favorites is Wolfman, the 2010 version, I believe. I really like this one because they're able to capture the time period back then pretty well, and I love that it feels like such a mystery slasher almost. Like, of course, it's a story about trying to figure out who the Wolfman is, but I just feel like the way that it's captured, it's so mysterious. I love the setting of it being in London, and the twist at the end is what gets me the most. I remember me and my wife went to go see this February. I think it came out Valentine's Day weekend or something, and we went to go see it, and I was pleasantly surprised. It is violent, it's pretty terrifying at moments, and again, the aesthetic of it, the cinematography, the way it's shot, the acting, everything about this film is great. Like, I think out of this entire list, this is one of the ones that feels less like a creature feature and more like a slasher. Like I said, like even the design of the Wolfman in here, he's not just like a big wolf with like a wild animal. It's more of a contained, he's a beast, but he's contained and still moving around human-like. I think that's what makes it so scary. And again, the gruesome kills, bro. Like in that court scene, when he turns and then they chasing him, I love that scene. I think that scene's amazing, man. So Wolfman at that number 10 for me. At number 9 on this list is Gingersnaps Unleashed, which is the sequel to the first Gingersnaps, and it pretty much picks up after the first one. It shows the sister. She's been, submitted to this hospital because she could never get over what happened to her sister in the first one. And in this hospital, she meets a couple of. The hospital is like a psych hospital, like it's for people who are like mentally ill. And of course, her telling her story about what happened, you can only imagine people think that she's just crazy. So she's in this crazy house, and it takes place like during like the winter. It's real snowy, so it's a really, really good one to watch when you're in the thick of winter, because it definitely gives you that energy. So she's there at this hospital, and she finds out there's another wolf there, and she doesn't know who it is. And the movie's pretty much it's for her trying to figure out who it is, because this wolf is killing people, in the actual hospital, and it just makes for a good mystery. And the twist that comes with it is something you don't see coming, and I definitely enjoyed the hell out of it. Her sister does make her sister cameos quite a bit in the movie, if I remember correctly, as like a memory, just kind of talking to her, playing her conscious. And the vibe is pretty similar to the first one, and I think if you did like the first one, you should definitely check this one out. I don't know how many people know that Gingersnaps has a sequel, but I really, really dug it. It's the same type of effects, practical effects that they use in the film, so for a lot of people who like practical effects, this one is right up that alley. So yeah, I got that at number 9. At number 8 is a movie called Howl. I forgot when it was released, but it's 2014 or 16, somewhere. It's a modern movie, because I know there are a few movies that you might type in and see Howl, and I should have had the year down pat, but you gotta excuse me if not. I'm gonna put the poster up there so you can find it. But I watched this movie randomly in October, like in 2015, I believe. Me and my wife watched it, and boy, was I pleasantly surprised, yo. It's the story of this group in London. They're riding a night train, and the night train ends up crashing or stalling, and next thing you know, the people on there are just being hunted by wolves, and these wolves are vicious, like no games. It's extremely terrifying. I've never ridden a train, but I could just imagine if you had to stop in the middle of the night, and that in itself is scary. So they're playing on one aspect of fear of just being stuck at night in the middle of the woods, and then you throw in the werewolves coming to attack, and it's a survival game. And the way these wolves, spread their virus, it's like if they don't kill you, you turn into a wolf. And there's some cases where some people get scratched and they slowly but surely turn, and it just this is a wild ride of a film, and I think this is one that not too many people have seen. I think it's shot pretty well. Cinematography is good. The acting is all good, and again, it's vicious, very, very vicious. So I have Howl at that spot. Now, at number 6, this might throw people for a loop because it's not necessarily horror. Now, Prisoner of Azkaban, yes, the Harry Potter movie. Whether you like it or not, this is a werewolf movie. I consider it to be a werewolf movie, even though there are Dementors and all this other stuff in there. It's essentially a werewolf, film, because the two main characters, two of the biggest characters, are werewolves in a Sirius Black. Like I love Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is just a dope guy, man. I like almost everything he's in, and of course, if you are familiar with Harry Potter, I don't really need to explain this movie. You should know what this movie's about, and I'm not gonna go into it, but I just like it because it really gives a Halloween vibe. Because I just watched it the other day, and it's my favorite movie out of the franchise, honestly. Like I like the horror energy with the Dementors, and then being a werewolf guy, I like the idea of trying to figure out who this werewolf is that's killing people. And because everyone thinks it's Sirius Black, but it's actually not him, and he got framed. And just a great movie all around, man. Like Harry Potter, I love that franchise, period. Like I own them all, and again, this is my favorite of the group because it feels most like a horror to me. And yeah, that spot. Now at number 5, this is kind of a cheat because the whole movie isn't based around werewolves, but just a segment of it is, and that is Trick or Treat. I don't really know if I want to say much about this movie because it's being re-released this year in theaters, and there are a lot of people who have never seen it. My co-host on the Film Wrap-Up podcast, Kevin, specifically, he has never seen it before, so I don't want to really go in depth as to where the werewolves pop up, but just know if you've seen the movie, when it's revealed and the way the story goes, it is fucking fantastic. For those who don't know, Trick or Treat is a Halloween themed anthology horror film, so there's like a few small stories that all kind of run together, and there's one in particular that involves wolves, and it's just like the greatest thing ever once it does happen. So, and it's like right in your face too. I just love that, especially if you've never seen it. So if you haven't seen Trick or Treat, see it in theaters if you can. And yeah, I got that. That's a cheat code. Number 5. At number 4 is a movie that came out last year that is pretty underrated. I don't think many people have seen it. Werewolves Within. Dropped last year, and one of my favorite werewolf films just off of just dropping. Takes place again in the snowy, mountainous area, so it's definitely a better one to watch when you're in the thick of winter again, because it definitely gets the vibes. It feels pretty Christmas-like, so I think watching it in December would be a plus to do if you've never seen the film. It's about this ranger who gets stationed to this new town, that's in the mountains that's snowy, and he's there to, it's like I said, be the new ranger for the moment, because the previous ranger got killed by, they don't know what it is, but then they soon find the body of this new ranger, and it looks like he's been pretty much mauled and slashed and killed to death. That doesn't even make sense. It's been killed, and they eventually put 2 and 2 together, like, oh, this is a werewolf. So the whole movie is really spent around trying to figure out who the werewolf is. And apparently this is an adaptation from a video game, I believe. I've never heard of it, but that's what I saw when I read about the movie and eventually went into it. But it's fucking hilarious too. It is hilarious. I found myself like spitting out my drink watching it specifically. Like all the characters get good laughs. The main, I forgot the brother's name, but the main guy who plays the ranger, he's hilarious. The AT&T girl is in it, and just a good time of a film, bro. Like if you've never seen this movie, you like werewolves, you will definitely have a great time watching this film. For real. Shot well. It actually has little bits of danger in it. The comedy lands. Everything is on point with it, and the whodunit story really is a great aspect to it, because weird things get thrown around, like somebody at this this little town is involved with the military some way, and it's just a fun ride all the way around. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Number 3 on this list is a film called Dog Soldiers. Now this movie is fantastic. I loved it as soon as I saw it. Just the entire premise of it, and it's just so like the energy of it is so not claustrophobic. It's super tense, and it's, again, like I said, it's probably the most intense movie on this list. This group of soldiers get sent in to save. They get sent to some village to save some guy. When they get there, everybody there has been killed, and next thing you know, they get ambushed by some werewolves, and these werewolves don't fuck around. It's like a group of them. They're just relentless. That's the word for this film. It's relentless. It doesn't give you much time to breathe. It gets popping really pretty quick, and once it starts, it doesn't stop, even to the very, very end. And that's pretty much all I want to give about it, because there is an overarching story that opens itself up as the movie goes on, and I don't want to say who it's about because I want you to go in here fresh, but just know it's very intense. And in fact, you know, it's kind of like the military versus the werewolves. So it's guns blazing, shootout. So you could classify it as an action horror. I don't really, just because of the nature of it. When you see it, there's some vicious shit going on in there, man. So Dog Soldiers, if you can find it, watch it. My third favorite. Now at number 2, might surprise some people, but there's this, I saw this tweet randomly amongst the horror community, and they had like a list of movies that were created in the late 90s and early 2000s that said, I forgot what studio made Scream, but at the time, they were just like, Dimension Films just decided to screamify every genre in horror, and it had like The Faculty, Dracula with Omar Epps, and then this movie here, Cursed, was part of that. And I can't find, it's probably why I like it so much, because it feels like it's cut from the cloth of Scream. You know, it's a teen slasher. One of the queens of horror is in the film. I was about to call her Wednesday, but Christina, is it Rucci? Is that how you pronounce her name? If I messed it up, sorry. But I know her as, when you know her as Wednesday, she's the lead role. And the movie kind of follows, you know, Christina's character and Jesse Eisenberg is in the movie too, and their brother and sister, and they live in a house by themselves. I forgot what happened to the parents. I think the parents passed away or something happened. And Christina, she's older, so she's the one that kind of plays mom, and she works for an entertainment company that does interviews and things with celebrities, right? And she pays the bills, and her brother's in high school. So you get that, you kind of get 2 stories in one. You get the high school aspect of him, and then you get the adult life of her. And one night, she's attacked by a werewolf. And let's just say, well, her and her brother are attacked by a werewolf within a car. The next day, they start getting the symptoms of werewolves, and you kind of see the progression as it goes on and on, and how it affects their lives. And it pretty much keeps going for them to try to figure out like who they think it is. They lead you one way, and then they bait and switch it that way. And I feel like it from that aspect, it reminds you of Scream by the way they went about that part of it, because it gets to a point in the third act where you think you know who it is, but then again, it keeps going and it flips it. So I just really love the vibe of this film. I love how it looks. I love how it shot it so of the time. And the werewolves in this one are vicious as well. There's a little bit of CGI in it that probably won't work for people, but they do still go practical with a lot of stuff. And I enjoy this movie. It's fun. It's very fun. Now, number 1 on my list of werewolf movies is, probably guessed it, or if not, Gingersnaps. I love this movie. Love it. And I don't even think too many people know about it. That's the crazy part. I don't see it mentioned that much within the horror community, but it is fantastic. It came out, I believe, in 2000, so it has that late 90s energy to it. It's super fall, so I watch it every time around this year. I usually watch it a few times a year, but it hits even harder to watch it now, you know, because it takes, matter of fact, the end of the movie takes place on Halloween. So it's about these 2 girls who are obsessed with death. Literally, it sounds crazy, but they are obsessed with death. And the way the movie opens is in a way that you won't even see coming, and it sets the tone. So, of course, they're outcasts at their school. You know, they wear black, they're punked out, grunged out. And one night, one of the girls, Ginger is her name specifically, she gets attacked by a werewolf. And again, she goes through the transformation this entire movie, and her sister's trying to figure out what's going on. And then when she does figure out what's going on and tells Ginger, she kind of like accepts it, you know, because this is kind of a coming of age movie. And she just accepts it as her becoming a woman, and her sister wants to help her and save her, but that's easier said than done. And I just think it's a wild ride of a movie, man. I love this film. If you have not seen it, please watch it. I think it's on Tubi and a couple of other free streaming platforms. Watch it. Like I said, big fall vibes. It ends on Halloween, and it's so cool. I was about to spoil something, but ends on Halloween. Great score. The ending is pretty heartbreaking, but respectable. And again, it goes well with the second one that I explained earlier. So there you have it. Those are my 10 favorite werewolf movies. Watch all of them if you can. Let me know in the comments what are your favorite werewolf movies and why. And if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.